What's going on, good people? We're back with another installment. Ray and Ono about to, talk how we talk. And so, bro, I want to start this off by setting the stage, right? So like we've been talking a little bit about black male dating shortcomings, right? And like how black men show up. And I know the sisters are gonna love this because they like to highlight how we ain't shit. And I get it, because like I went through a stage in my life to where I wasn't much. I wasn't someone that I would let my daughter or I would encourage my daughter to date, right? And so that's how I kind of look at that scale of, all right, well, are you a good person? And so I think I'm a better person now, and I think it's because I have daughters and because I've done a lot of self-reflection in terms of how I show up and wanting to show up better. But the work starts with you, right? The work is intrinsic. And if it doesn't start with you as an intrinsically motivated person that wants to be better, then you're never going to be better. And so, come on, you the therapist. What we doing?
I mean, so there's a lot of stuff happening, right? And some of it is like, okay, interpersonal stuff, but a lot of it too is we created, not even we created, we partially created, but a lot of us created for us. We create a culture that just promotes behavior that's anti-relationship. We promote a culture that's anti, like, so you were talking about when you were a young man, you might have not been the best person to have dated. You wouldn't let your daughter date you, right? And I say the same exact thing, right? As far as myself. But part of the reason why is because of how we promote behavior and how we socialize ourselves and the things that we encourage, even in the way that we talk to each other and stuff. So like we send the wrong messages out to people, not just men, but men and women are getting all the wrong messages. And then they're going out in the dating sphere and just creating havoc. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is true, it does start within, but the reason we're this way comes from without. Is because we're letting the outside influences impact how we behave and what we think is, manly, what we think is, masculine,
Yeah. So let's unpack that, right? So like, how are you defined these days? Because I know that there's been a shift in terms of the more knowledge that one gets, um, the easier it is to like shift your mindset in terms of where you are. How are you defining masculinity now? Current.
So that's the thing. I struggle with that because I'm like, what qualities are masculine that aren't just human? You get what I'm saying? Like, I think the way that we define masculinity now, like, so much of us, we're like, okay, so, like we do what's called hegemonic masculinity, right?
Okay.
Which means that's like the traditional masculinity that has
I
been
don't
taught.
want to be anything traditional. I don't want
Yeah,
no parts of
yeah.
traditional because
It's
like
it's
that.
that. Because first off, it's not our tradition. That wasn't how we were. That was brought to us through colonization. But
Yeah.
as a whole, I won't go that deep. But we teach these norms and we reinforce it through our religion practices. We reinforce it through our institutions. We reinforce it through our media. Like a man is supposed to be like a provider and supposed to be strong and supposed to, not have vulnerabilities. And they're supposed to, and, whenever I meet with men, whenever I work with my male clients, I ask them, what, what are your positive qualities that is not a service to other people?
Oh,
Like,
that's
what
a good
about
question.
you
Yeah.
is worthwhile that
Yeah.
isn't something you do for somebody else? Because you
Yeah.
ask me, well, I take care of my family. I'm a provider. I'm a protector. I'm a this. I'm a that. I'm a that. And framing our self identity in that creates a huge opportunity for insecurity. Because the second you have a partner who outperforms you or
Yeah.
doesn't listen to you, if you tell them to do something and you think I'm supposed to be the leader because I was born with the penis, so you're supposed to do what I say, and they don't listen to you, now your masculinity is challenged. And to me, if your masculinity is determined by how other people behave or respond to you, you got a weak grasp on masculinity there. So to me, being a man is masculinity is just the male version of just being a decent human being, in my view.
Yeah.
But I know I might be in the minority on that one.
Yeah, I don't think you're in a minority. I think that we've created this paradigm to where people are afraid to agree with you based off of the masses that probably disagree, right? So like I don't think it's a minority per se, but I think that there is still a higher percentage of folks that are toxic in their masculinity
Right.
that don't want to let folks breathe.
But the
And
crazy thing, it's not just the toxic dudes that
yeah,
are spreading this.
yeah.
Women will spread this too.
Well,
So
think about it though, right? Once you get accustomed to a certain way of life or a certain way of being,
right.
then you're not going to want to change how others approach, right? So, like, if you're a woman and you pride yourself in like being taken care of, then any kind of change to someone taking care of you, of course, that's going to be looked at as something negative, right? Like, oh, this BAN, he ain't taking care of me no more. He ain't paying the bills. He ain't doing this. He ain't doing that. So let me emasculate this man, right, who probably needs me more now than ever, right? I mean, like I've seen it happen.
Yeah. But the thing is, half the time though, because whenever I work with couples, and this is a common conversation I have where they will outline the different views. Well, he should be doing this, he should be doing that, who should be, and I'll ask them, so tell me the example in your life where you saw this happen in a healthy, happy marriage or happy relationship.
Yeah,
Crickets. A lot of times it's an overcorrection from what they feel they didn't get. So, my house was unstable. I didn't have a male figure in my home. So I look to the world, I look to media, I look to these concepts of what a man should be, and then I'm going to hold men to this fictionalized Superman that I've created. And then when you fall short, you're not a real man.
because you're going to fall short, right? Like,
Yeah.
but in any way that you approach this, right? Like, so even if you're doing things perfectly, you can be doing things perfectly 100% of the time, and then that 1% of the time where you fall short,
Mhm.
then that's going to be paraded around like you do that 99% of the time.
You ain't no real man. You ain't no real
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
And the thing is, and then we do it to ourselves.
yeah,
So one of the things that amazes me, because to be fair to the sisters, there are, especially if you're talking about
yeah.
black women are more likely to date men who make less money than them than any other ethnicity. So we
So
talk about,
we've said that before, man. I'm
yeah,
gonna need you to cite some sources because I
bro. All right, yo. I mean, it's go to what's the, oh my god, now I went blank because you um Gallup. Go to Gallup. Go to what's the one that does the Family Institute? Give me 5 seconds, it'll come back to me. But
yeah,
it's you could a 5 second Google search, you'll get a graph on this, and it will show you
Google's
that
not my source.
no, but what I'm saying, Google will take you to the
I
source.
want to
You Google it, and
want
Google it will take you to the
Google
Brookings
Scholar. I
Institute.
want to go
Thank you,
with Google
Brookings
Scholar.
Institute. That's what I'm
Okay.
citing.
Yeah,
Go to
Brookings.
the Brookings Institute. They will
Yeah,
show you the graphs of income towards partner. I actually keep these graphs in my phone
yeah.
just because so many people
Why?
challenge me
If
on it
people would
so much.
challenge you like me.
Yeah, so I'd be like, hold on, I'll send you the graphs with the links and because I get challenged on that so much.
No,
Black
so
women,
real quick, can I tell you about my dream job?
yeah, hit me.
So my dream job was to be a stay-at-home dad, right? So like that topples any type of like masculinity precepts that anyone could have, right? I wanted to be a stay-at-home dad, wanted to marry rich, only because I wanted to break those cycles of when people think, oh, my wife can't make more than me. Bro, I would be elated. Elated, you hear me? If my wife made more than me. There's no way that and then when she came home, I guess I would fall into the traditional roles of making sure everything was done in the house, making sure food was ready, and that she didn't need or want for anything, because I understand that as I look at that as just being a good human.
So you do that because you are secure in who you are.
Mhm.
But is a large segment of men that
Yeah,
if their partner starts making more money than them, they will then feel insecure. If their partner starts to outshine them professionally, they'll feel insecure. So one of the
let's
biggest
check why though, right? So we're making this broad statement, right? All right, if a man, so let's kind of sum this up, right? So like a couple things. So one, black women, and probably you could probably use it's probably a race neutral statement in that women make more than men, right? Well, no, because white men and white women, there's
And Asian
So,
men, yeah, no,
okay, so
black,
I'm backing
black
up.
in
I'm
our
backing up.
community, yeah.
Black and brown. I feel safe in saying black and brown. So
Right.
black and brown.
And it depends on the brown and how brown you are.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just gonna stick to black because it's Juneteenth, and I want to stick to black.
We talking about
So
black.
black black women make more than black men. Right? We're good with that statement.
So yes, but it's nuanced. Black women make more than black men when working the same job, right?
Okay.
So, but if you look overall, if you look at the incomes of black men versus black women, because of the jobs that they gravitate towards, employed black men on average will make more money than employed black women, but
Yeah.
black women are more likely to be hired than the black man. So
So
the reason why they
why is that? Do you feel like black men are more threatening in terms of like how?
yeah.
Okay.
So basically part of patriarchy is what we call the subordinate male hypothesis. And like so everybody thinks patriarchy is about controlling women, and it is about controlling women, but it's also about suppressing out-group males. So one of the things that happens is what's called anti-black misandry, where it's discrimination that targets specifically the male of the racial group of other racial groups. So what ends up happening is black men are more likely to be viewed as aggressive according to most of the research. If even when compared to females who are being more aggressive, right? They're more likely to, police interactions, you're more likely to get shot, you're more likely to get rashed, you're more likely to get pulled over, you're going to get harsher sentences, you're less likely to get callbacks for interviews as a black male than a black female. And then it gets real funky with the females because dark-skinned black women actually are more likely to receive a callback and higher salary offers than light-skinned black women. So there's a color code to this too.
Wait a minute.
I know it's backward, right? It's not what you would think.
You just dropped a bar right there because
Yeah.
I would have never, like, if I'm hypothesizing, I would have never, that would have not been where I started.
Yeah, it's when I read that, it blew my mind. I was like, okay, wait a minute. I read that in the Man Not, and then I also read it in Black Men and Racial Trauma, right? Both of those times when I read that, I was like, okay, I got to go see what studies, and I went and found the studies, and I'm like, oh snap! But the reason why is because of the stereotypes of the of dark-skinned black women being they will work harder, they will put the job first, they will overperform, they will take care of everybody else in the office. So the black superwoman schema that benefits employers, and it makes black women appear to be like they're going to kill themselves for the job according to the stereotype, right? Whereas the black man is going to be hostile and lazy. That's the stereotypes.
Well, so since it is Juneteenth, and since I feel like we can't unpack these things, black people have never been lazy at all, right? And so because you got to think about this mindset, right? Think about forcing a group of people to come over to do work that you didn't want to do from sun up to sundown more times later than that, and you call these people lazy. Like, you're not doing the work. And so if you're not doing the work, then there's no way that you can like put that label on anybody else. And it's like we don't do enough as black people in this country to kind of debate those myths and kind of dispel those ideologies of black people being lazy. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, even if you expand it out to like poor people, because people say, well, people are poor because they're not working hard. In my experience, the poorer you are, the more hard you work in order to survive. Like, it's usually you're having 2-3 jobs. You're going from one job to another job.
Or the hours that are associated with that poor paying job.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, that's crazy.
Meanwhile, we work from home, chilling and whatnot. No, it's there is no comparison. I guarantee you.
But Doc, I think about this, right? When I think about how we look at the interactions of parents in schools, right? Mm-hmm. So like you have a certain subgroup of people that perform in like the middle class higher middle class, whatever, like the Jack and Jill moms, and they can go shots, shots. Yeah. And they can go to these curriculum nights, they can go to these back to school nights, they can go and be the class mom, they can go and be the class reader, and it's because they can put in that time with their jobs. They have this understanding at their jobs that, hey, I'm a parent as well, and I see you as a human. Whereas you got some people that are working these minimum wage jobs and they're just a placeholder because it's a high turnover position, and if you're not here, I'm gonna find somebody else to replace you for you not being here. And I don't care about your kids because I don't care about you because I don't see you as human.
Exactly. And that's what happens. And that's what happens.
Mhm.
So it's funny. There's a charter school down here in Atlanta that
Hey, we
they
go easy on charter schools, my guy. We go
no,
easy
no,
on charter
no,
schools.
no. I was about to sing the praise. I was about
All
to
right,
sing the
all right, all
praises.
right, all right.
No, no, I'm a
Give you the
fan.
stream.
Look,
All right.
anything that gets our kids educated and moving forward, I am a fan of. Like
Yeah.
I don't forget the labels, forget our whole system is crazy anyways. But this school to me was just incredible because one of the things that it has is one they have like community night. So basically they make the meetings and stuff in the evening so people can attend. They have a laundromat on premises for the parents and families to use. They have resources for the parents. They have like they would do like what's it called, they would do like 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 you go to like office so you could like fax your resume out and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Oh
they
wow.
would, they would
Okay.
have that stuff in the school to
Yeah.
create community engagement,
So
right?
school is the community.
Say what?
So school is the community. The whole mindset of
Exactly.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
the community.
Yeah.
The school's a community, and
Yeah.
then they bring people in from the community to volunteer on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So when people are invested, when you're part of the community, as opposed to this institution that's plopped in the middle, you're gonna humanize your students. You're gonna humanize the families. You'll be more invested. The teachers are more invested. The parents are more invested. That makes the students more invested, which makes them actually like crack a book every now and then.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Every now and again, right? And
yeah.
so circling back to relationships, right? Like, how do you think that approach kind of impacts how black men show up in relationships?
So and this is going to sound like a cop out,
Yeah.
but part of the reason why black men approach relationships the way they do is it's not a flaw in black men. It's structural. So anytime you have a population in which you have more of one group than the other, it creates an imbalance that has certain predictable results, right? So if you have a community where there's more men and less women, you have high marriage rates, low casual sex rates, higher rates of monogamy, because those are the preferences of the females in that group, and because of the power imbalance, their preferences outweigh. When you have communities where there's more women and less men, then the preferences of men tend to come in play, and then in those communities you have um lower rates you have higher rates of casual sex, lower rates of commitment, lower rates of marriage, and then when people do get married, they tend to get married further out. And there's like a number of like psychological reasons why this happens.
Yeah.
So working with like looking at the imbalance, or rather the imbalance of who you're considering, makes a difference. As long as we're tying stuff to your income. If I have to date somebody who makes as much money as me or more, and you make six figures, you've now eliminated the majority of human beings on the planet Earth. For example. You know.
I call bullshit.
Okay, call it. Hit me. Hit me.
So when I look at and the reason being is because when I look at some of these marriages or whatever, from like let's take for instance like our friend groups, right? When I
Mhm.
look at some of these marriages, and it's kind of like a predictor. I can look and I can see, well, y'all don't even really like each other, right? And so like and so
Yep.
and so they're getting married as a way to kind of shut society up, or they think that they're shutting society up or whatever. But like that gel isn't there. And so when divorce happens, when separation happens, when infidelity happens or whatever, like those are all predictors from the fact that you don't like the person that you're with.
Right.
Because if you like the person that you're with, like you're going to be overly committed to wanting to satisfy that person. You're going to be overly committed to wanting to be with that person. You're going to be overly committed to wanting to see that person smile. You're going to be overly committed to wanting to be around that person. Whereas if you don't like someone, you're going to be doing everything you can in order to not be around that person. So that can look like chapter meetings. I can look like overly involved in your fraternity.
Wait, wait, time out. Because I just started going chapter meetings again. Don't do that to me, okay? Don't do that. But no, I hear what you say. You're right. I mean, the big thing is this, right? The big thing is this. You have, like, I call them like third date conversations. People aren't there's conversations that people are having by the time that they get married and they're in the relationship, and then they come to see me and I'll ask them, okay, well, what things do you have in common? Like, what do you guys like about? Oh, we don't got nothing in common. I'm like, or like one person wants to move here, the other person don't want to move, or one person wants kids, the other person don't want to have kids.
So that right there, that conversation, I feel like that conversation needs to be had early on, right? Like that conversation needs to be had prior to any kind of like physical touch or anything like before I even kiss you. I need to know what kind of, like, do you want to have a family? If I want to have a family, are we evenly yoked in the sense of do we want to procreate, right? Like I feel like that's an important conversation that's often missed and can breed like animosity and contempt if people aren't on the same page.
Exactly. But not even that. So let's say you both want to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all think about parenting? What is your parenting style? You believe in beating the brakes off the kids. You believe in like using like evidence-based practices. Y'all gonna have problems.
So real quick, let's stop here, right? Because the way you threw up evidence-based practice, it sounds like you got some experience. Sounds like you got experience, and it sounds like you don't really manage your kids well. So what is what does evidence-based practice look like in parenting?
All right, so let me walk that statement back. That is a biased statement. I will say this:
you got beat.
No, I did not get beat.
What?
At all. My father's a nuclear physicist. He's a PhD in nuclear physics. My mother's a social worker. Like,
wait.
You're not doing any of that shit.
Having a PhD in nuclear physicist and being a nuclear physicist doesn't mean that belt to ass can't happen.
Yo, if you
look like you was a bad kid, Ono.
No, I wasn't bad until I hit like 10th grade. Okay. And even my bad wasn't really bad. Like my bad was like I skipped class. I wasn't like out here doing drive-by shootings or anything crazy. But relatively speaking, I was a very good kid actually.
Okay, fair enough. I never did a drive-by, so I don't know what you're alluding to here.
No, I'm not saying you do it. Hey. I mean, if you did, it's still pass. I'm not gonna hold that against you.
Boys in the hood means something totally different. Boys in the hood means 3 stripes on the arm.
Yo,
and you've been hooded by a dissertation chair.
Exactly. But no,
somebody know you in here because they was like what they say he wasn't.
That's my sister.
Okay, what's up, sis? You weren't that bad. I don't believe it though. But anyway.
No, I swear facts. I promise you. I was quiet. I was quiet as hell. So I just didn't do no damn homework, but I was quiet as hell.
So what do black men need to do? Let's kind of sum this up. We got some other things to jump to. What do black men need to do in order to be better partners, better people?
One, I always tell black men, like, identify what masculinity means to you, and if it's contingent on the behaviors of somebody else, meaning like my wife has to be submissive, or I have to be the boss at the job. If your self-image and your self-value is dependent on other people, if your self-image is dependent on what services you provide to other people, go get a therapist and plug in. Get a therapist and kind of dig in and kind of do some self exploration, because you're putting yourself in a position where if anything happens, like you lose your job, your wife divorce you or whatever, your whole world is going to collapse and you're going to be in the fetal position in the corner. Like it's not a healthy look. So really, look in the mirror and figure out what your manhood looks like to you. And if it's dependent on others, if it's dependent on the world's view, the world's opinion, the world's approval, it's time to do some self-reflection. Yeah. And if you get that taken care of, everything else falls into place. The relationships, the education, everything else falls into place when you get that squared away.
Yeah, so I often think, because I think about your history and think about your residency at Morehouse, and I wonder if we walked around and we talked to 10 different men at Morehouse and we asked them what their definition of masculinity is, how we would get 10 different answers. Right. And that seems like it would be a good epicenter to kind of centralize what masculinity is, and then take that to like the greater community of men to kind of get this one working definition of what manhood should be. That's totally different from how we look at it in the toxic ways in which we approach manhood.
Exactly. That sounds like a study. That sounds like a
book. Definitely a study that I'm not doing. But if you are,
I was talking about you. I was like, you do it. I'll second author.
Yeah, maybe. Because we need to write more. I think all Black doctors need to write more. So yeah. All right. So next up, man, I'm gonna run this video.
A box of diapers.
Policeman shot, open fire in a public setting over allegedly some Pampers.
Authorities say the adults, now identified by the family's lawyer as the boy's mother and her friend, tried to get away, driving toward and nearly hitting an officer. Another officer then firing at the car. The boy's mother says she tried to communicate to police that a child was in the vehicle.
I raised my baby up trying to show them that he was in the car. By the time I set my baby down, it was like 3 to 4 shots. One of the shots hit him in his rib cage, and the other shots hit her in her arm and her thigh.
Cohen was pronounced dead at a hospital while the driver had critical injuries, according to the Mississippi Bureau of Investigations, which is now handling the case.
To make no mistake, this is a very tragic situation. I would ask that the public maintain patience as much as possible. And I know this is a very frustrating time, but maintain patience as this process is done.
Attorney Ben Crump now representing the family and saying in a statement, "We intend to seek justice for baby Cohen and the life that was stolen from him." Protesters now calling for accountability and transparency.
So they're just questions that need to be answered, video that needs to be reviewed, and to actually see what it says. Go with the evidence.
Bruh. So one thing that I can say, right, is that mainstream media ain't shit. When it comes down to Black lives or whatever, like, you really aren't gonna get the opportunities to see these types of things on mainstream media. And so it's incumbent upon us as people that have platforms, folks like the A Black Hands podcast and like these podcasts that are meaningful in terms of how they approach their work, to put the spotlight on these communities that people ain't really checking for, people not really worried about. It's a community in Mississippi, right? So like when you say Mississippi off top, it's like you're not going to get mainstream media attention with regards to that. And that's unfortunate because Cohen, I'm saying his name because I feel like, oftentimes when these types of tragedies happen, we start talking about the officers and we start talking about everybody else except the people that are harmed. And so Cohen, you're in our hearts. His family is in our hearts, and we're going to do everything that we can in order to shine a light on this situation. Very unfortunate. So what are your thoughts on this, man? Like, how are you, if you were in therapist mode and you had to talk to people in the community, like, how would you approach that work?
Honestly, I wouldn't, because I can't do the therapy thing with this one. This angers me. Like, you're not gonna get the calm, correct speech for me. The truth of the matter is this is like, we keep looking at these events, right? And we look at them as snapshots. This is a pattern, and it's a consistent pattern. And it's a pattern that, by the way, got worse when the clown in the White House got back into the White House. And it's been open season on Black people, and it's all connected. So from the gerrymandering to the elimination of Black history to the protection of what is it when the police officers can't be sued?
Qualified immunity.
Qualified immunity, from the protection of that. It's all sending the message to these folks, these racists, that Black lives don't matter. You can do stuff like this, and if you are a criminal, you are deserving of death. And even if you look how people respond, people are responding with, "Oh well, she stole the diapers." So you shot at her?
Yeah.
Or somebody steals a bottle of water, you shoot at him because it's criminal. Like they say, it's not that the criminal justice system has a race problem. We've criminalized race.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? Being Black, if you commit any crime, it's justification for brutality. And so it's, while this particular incident is very important, I also think we need to look at what's happening. The reason this incident is happening is because across the board, the messaging that are going to these racists is it's open season on Black people, it's open season on brown people, and they're responding accordingly. That's why you get all these Karens running up on people, asking them if they belong, or demanding that they leave places, or running up, all this foolishness. That guy, I won't say his name, but that social media guy who was running up, starting fights with Black folks, and then when one fought back, he shot him. In Tennessee, there's a reason all this stuff is happening, and we have to have a collective response. We have to go in, because it's not going to be just this one incident. It's not going to be just Mississippi. It's not. This is happening across the board.
Yeah.
And in Mississippi, the interesting thing is Mississippi has a higher percentage of Black people than any other state.
Absolutely. And so I want to say this real quick, because I have Mississippi roots. Shout out to Mississippi. The way that these folks are out here protesting this Walmart is like nothing that I've ever seen. Right, like that Walmart is dry. Like there are no people that are going in there. These people are going to get answers. And I posted something on socials about people protesting in Mississippi, and they were like, "Hey, there's no problem with people protesting in Mississippi. Shit is in our DNA." And it just made me think about it differently, because it absolutely is in their DNA. When you think about the Freedom Riders or whatever, you think about all the things that Mississippi has had to go through in order to be the forefront of thought in terms of how we view civil rights, in terms of how we move things forward in our communities. I think that this is bad. It's overall bad that this happened, but I can't think of a better place for this to have happened in order for this to spearhead a 2.0 version of what civil rights is going to look like, and that's wild. We got a comment. Hold up. We got Chris. What do you say? He said, "This is a problem that never seems to end. It's frustrating in my 50." I know Chris is 58 years old. He looks like he's 48. 58 years, I've seen cases all the way back to Latasha Harris back in 1991, all the way to now. So you're right, man. Dr. Ono, you're right. This shit continuously happens. And I think people thought that, Obama got his 8 years, and that, racism, the race problem in America.
We're post-racial America.
And I think that only magnified race issues in the United States, because then they were like, hey, we got to balance this thing out or whatever. And the only way we can balance this thing out is by putting the racists in the White House for 8 years. And that somehow will balance things out.
Yeah. And that's always been the pattern, because if you look at Reconstruction, as soon as Reconstruction end, boom, they roll out Jim Crow, they roll us back every game we
you're moving too fast. You're moving too fast. That's a different segment. We're gonna talk about that when we talk about Juneteenth.
Right,
I like your thinking, though. I like your thinking.
All right, cool.
And so what's next, man? Because hey, listen, if Ben Crump takes a case, that shit is slam dunk.
Yeah, people, not that money is worth a life, but people about to come out their pockets right now.
1000% coming out their pockets, bro. But like, so all right. So let's interrogate this video, right? It's like, so there's a couple things that happen in this video that are triggering for me, that are things that I would never have done as a parent, right? So like, one, I'm not holding my baby up to show racist ass cops that my baby is I feel like that's even more of a target for a racist, right? Bro, they used to eat us. They used to hang us on the trees, do parades, and do all these celebrations or whatever.
If anybody doesn't believe that, get the book Delectable Negro. If you don't believe it, they used to eat us.
Yeah. And so there's just no way that I'm holding my kid up trying to get a policeman's attention, thinking that they're going to have some kind of mercy on me as a black woman or as a black person. Like, I'm just not doing that. What I probably would have done as a protecting black man is I would have thrown my body over that baby seat. Right. Like, if you're going to hit somebody, you're going to hit me. All right. But you know, in all fairness, this should have never happened. Not over no damn Pampers. And so that's why we must put Walmart on Front Street, right? Because like, I've seen instances in which I think it was during COVID, you had black hair products that were locked in cages in stores like Walgreens and stores like Walmart, right? It's anti-black, and when anti-black things occur in this society, we need to do a better job at separating ourselves from that anti-blackness, right? It's like anti-blackness will occur, and then 2 months later we forget about it. Or Jay-Z puts an album in Target, and so we're all supposed to forget about what Target did with DEI. It's like, the hell with that, man. We got to start putting more emphasis back into our community. I almost said black into our community because that's really how I feel. We got to start putting more emphasis back into the black community. We got to get stores and support businesses in the black community. Hell, it might be a little higher because the overhead is going to be higher because they're black, but paying that additional bread in order to have peace of mind is worth it for me. What are your thoughts?
I agree totally. I definitely I'm all about supporting black businesses. Definitely. I think that's a good starting point, right? But I also think we have to hold these people accountable, not just as far as you know, the stores go, but across the board. Like, we should be voting people out of office. We should be, you know, having our people, you know, try to, you know, apply for police officer positions. We need to, you know, like, we need to basically do everything we can to disrupt the current power structure. So yes, target the stores and buy black businesses, but you know, black capitalism by itself is not the answer to capitalistic oppression. That's what that's why I'm wearing this shirt right now. That's what he said. But that's what Fred Hampton said. But yeah, it's, you know, the answer to white capitalism isn't black capitalism. The answer to white capitalism is justice. And so, you know, I'm with you, and I agree on what you say, but that's the starting point. That's not the goal. That's the first step on the stairs to, you know, trying to push towards true liberation.
Yeah,
you know,
man, it's still a tough watch. Anytime when I see instances of police brutality, it's always going to be a trigger for me. I saw an instance of it happening. I think I was in like 8th grade in Covington, Louisiana, and I saw my uncles get pulled over by a group of undercover cops, and they got the hell beat out of them. Like, I'm talking like after that event, when you looked at them, you couldn't really tell who they were. They got beaten so bad. And that was like around 1989 ish is when that happened. And bro, I'll never forget it. 89, what was I, 12?
So imagine the type of trauma. Well, not imagine, but for anyone else, that's trauma.
Yeah, 1000%.
Yeah. And then you move forward with that.
But it's still a lot to unpack. Given one of those officers that was there on the scene was a black officer, right? And nobody talks about that. Everybody like puts this guy on a pedestal, like, oh yeah, you know, community wise or whatever. Like, yeah, you know, black cop or whatever. But like sometimes anti-blackness does not have to come from white people.
Exactly. Like you remember that in Tennessee or Memphis, those police officers who basically killed that young man.
Yeah. No, basically they killed him.
Yeah. They literally sat there, and every single one of them were black. There was this, you know,
a couple of them was your frat brother.
I wasn't gonna put that. I wasn't gonna say that part, but
hey, listen. Hey, I keep it a band, bro. Like, listen. You got people in every organization that got shit people in their organization, right? And it's like we didn't take an oath to protect shit people. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm not doing that ever. Like, if you're not a good person, then you're not a good person. It doesn't matter if you're my fraternity brother or not. Like, you're just not a good person.
I agree. Like Stephen A. Smith, he could kiss my ass. But
right. 3 times on Juneteenth. I'm with you. So, all right. So let's kind of wrap this up. So I was saying that to say that I've seen instances of police brutality beyond the personal, but like also from the peripheral, in which I've seen like black officers involved. Like I'll see a white cop beating the hell out of somebody, and then I'll see a black cop come over and won't really even like intervene. And my wonder, and maybe you can help me kind of parse through this, right? Do you feel like they think that they're in danger of their lives? Because even though they have a gun, you now have this white person that's probably on a higher pecking order than you in that department, right? And so are they not responding based off the fact that, like, all right, well, I'm this person's subordinate, and I'll take care of it later in the paperwork, or I'll take care of it later with the body cams, and I will I'll definitely testify as to like what I seen. Like how do you think, what do you if a black police officer comes to you with a situation in which they've witnessed that type of trauma, didn't intervene, how do you counsel that person? Not to be putting you on the spot, but
well, I mean, to be honest, I unfortunately I have experience with this. I've had a few clients who, you know, work in law enforcement, and there becomes this balancing act where it's like, because while they're trying to deal with, you know, racism out in the world, you're also got racism in your job, because these black police officers, the one who are actually like black and not like, you know, think they're part of the other team, but like the ones who actually identify with blackness, they have to balance like dealing with the internal racism, dealing with stuff like, okay, well, you know, if I make a call and I need someone to have my back, are they even going to show up? Are they going to do this? Am I going to get fired because I have to, you know? So it's a tightrope, just like any job, just like anyone where you work somewhere where there's somebody at your job who is, you know, racist, but you know, do it discreet enough or covert enough where you can't directly call them out. You do that balancing act. So you see it with police officers, just like you see it in, you know, corporate America, just like you see it in higher education. Anywhere you work, if you are black and you're working in a majority white environment, this is a challenge you have to navigate. How far do I go in confronting racism? It's just, unfortunately, when it comes to police officers, there's a life or death impact in that. And every single person has a different answer and a different threshold for different reasons, you know, including who's depending on them to, you know, keep the lights on. So to me, the line is, if you see somebody getting beat, harassed, whatever, then you need to step up, in my opinion. But I think that's an easy choice. It's the right choice.
No. We got to stop putting the easy choice as an option. You got to make the right choice in that situation, right? And you got to know that when you make the right choice, the community is going to hold you down, right?
Exactly.
If you make that right choice and you're able to substantiate that choice with video evidence, and now you're talking to the community like, hey, this is what I did. I'm out of a job now because I did this. The black people are going to make sure that is right. I know, if I know anything about black folks, is that I know that opportunities are going to come in abundance to whoever that person is that did the right thing, because that's just as a people who we are. Even though folks try to dehumanize us. Folks try to make it seem like we're savages or we're this, we're that. We're the most caring people in instances in which we should not give a shit about others based off of our landscape and how things have happened to us in this country. And so when folks say things like, oh, Black people exhibit a victim mentality, one, you have to be a victim in order to exhibit any kind of mentality. So you're justifying our points by calling us victims, because yes, we are victims. We're victims of over 400 years of structural racism. We're victims of post Emancipation Proclamation, Jim Crow, and poll taxes and all the shit that y'all have done in order to keep us from being great. We're victims of having these amazing societies that we have built that are Black only societies, and you come in and you bomb them, you come in and you burn them down because you're jealous. We are victims of so much stuff to where, like, when you tell me, hey, you're exhibiting a victim mentality, I say to myself, I'm like, yo, shit, when other people exhibit victim mentalities, you reward them. They get they get reparations when they exhibit a victim mentality. So damn that, it's our time.
They get whole countries.
I'm putting the screen on you on that one.
Tell me I'm wrong though.
You are absolutely not wrong. Yes. Yeah. Historically and with data, not with any of my opinions, but historically,
this is facts. This is not opinion.
Yeah. All right. So let's segue into Juneteenth. How are you celebrating freedom today, sir?
This is gonna sound wild. I'm just gonna relax. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna do some reading. I'm gonna maybe go see a movie. I'm gonna do something that I don't always do and engage in some quiet time, some self-care.
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna do.
Listen, self-care should be a way of life for folks, right? I think that's how we prolong our lives, by exhibiting self-care. Black men, if you're listening, make sure that you're going to get your annual checkups. Black men, if you're listening, make sure that you have a primary care physician. Black men, if you're listening, if you don't have a primary care physician and you don't have benefits, there's ways to get Obamacare on the cheap. There's ways to get healthcare for the homeless on the cheap. You just need to reach out to people that have those resources and have that wherewithal to be able to navigate you through that process. But all Black men should have some form of healthcare to where we're out trying to live longer. And the reason why I say that, right? And then the reason why this is so important is because we work all our lives in these pension jobs. We work all our lives with Social Security being withdrawn out of our checks. And I can make this case that for Black men that have spent their lives working, paying into the Social Security system, it's like you're doing that shit for white people to enjoy the fruits of your labor, because that money goes into a big pot. And if we're not living long enough to be able to enjoy that pot that we work for, then people that are living long are going to be able to enjoy the fruits of that labor. What do you think? Thoughts?
I'm agreeing with you. I just got a new primary care physician, and he's a Black man, and I'm driving across town to get to him because we have to do it, because we are paying into a system that, we're the least likely. Literally, out of every male group, we died the soonest. Out of every race gender combination, we died the quickest. We died the soonest. Like, we had the lowest life expectancy, and so, like, go see the doctor, get the prostate exam. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
All right. So we can kind of back up to the first portion of the show, right?
Yeah.
Because when you talk about like masculinity,
exactly,
bro, like I know what you was alluding to, right? Like there's nothing wrong with getting a prostate exam. A prostate exam can save your goddamn life, right? So like you going into with a toxic mindset in terms of like, oh, I'm not letting anybody do this, or I'm not letting anybody do that. Then you don't want to fucking live. You don't want to.
Exactly. I literally have had that conversation with dudes, like grown men, who are like, yeah, I ain't comfortable with that. Like, do you understand like what? And then So I will talk to you in toxic masculinity speak. If you have prostate cancer and your prostate will remove, you won't be able to get an erection anymore. So if we want to be toxic masculinity, how are you going to feel when you can't get an erection anymore? Let them do the exam. Let them. It makes no damn sense. And the crazy thing is, so they'll tell you now that I actually just learned this at my physical 2 weeks ago. They will tell you now, like when you go to a doctor who's not knowledgeable about Black health, they will tell you it's enough now just to do the blood test, because the blood test will tell you whether or not you have the levels that, equate to, I'm not a doctor, but I'm not that type of doctor, but, they'll tell you that there's signs if you have prostate cancer, so they could just do the blood test. But what my doctor explained to me, the type of prostate cancer that Black men get tend to be more dangerous than other types, and we're more likely to get it. So a physical exam is still necessary. And so he does this thing where if your numbers are under this certain level, there's no physical exam, but if you're even close to the bare minimum of healthy, we're doing a physical exam. And I was like, you backed it up with data. I can't argue with you.
Yeah. And listen, I think it's also good to have primary care physicians that you can have conversations with, right? That like not only identify with you based off of like the struggles or race or whatever, but then also are receptive to feedback, right? Because like when I go into the doctor, I already know what's wrong with me. Like I've done my research on WebMD. I've done.
You went to Dr. Google.
I've done all the things, right, to kind of cancel some things out or whatever. So when I come to you, I'm coming to you with 3 scenarios, right? I'm like, it could either be this, or this, and we're gonna work through these 3, like Dr. House, and then we're gonna come to some kind of conclusion, and we're gonna work through it. But the good thing about my primary care physician, shout him out, Dr. Jadan Phillips, is that we can have really thoughtful conversations about what's going on with my health, and he'll listen to me. Like he's open to hearing my suggestions as to how I want to be treated. It's not just because I'm MD, I'm gonna tell you what to do or how to do it or whatever. Like I'm open to that type of relationship as well. But your relationship with your primary care physician shouldn't be an adversarial one. It should be it should be one in which y'all are like teammates, coming together to come up with a plan that's gonna help you live longer. And so if you are in an adversarial relationship of any sorts, and I say this about dissertation chairs, I say this about anybody that has some type of superiority over you in terms of how the thinking may go, you got to lose that. One of these episodes, I'm gonna talk in depth about how I had to lose a dissertation chair in order to get to the finish line.
Bro, you saw I had to switch my whole entire committee. My whole entire committee.
Yeah, and that happens. It happens.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm bringing you to your closing thoughts, man. You got 60 seconds. Anything you want to talk about?
All right, just go out there and do some good for the community, do some good for your people, do some good for your family, figure out what you can do to make the world and make your community a little bit better, and then do it. Like that's what Juneteenth to me really is about. That's what every day should be about. So just figure out what you can do to make the world a better place, and then go out there and like put some sweat equity into it.
Yeah, I love that. And so today for my final thought, I just want to talk about the chaos that's happening in the United States. And so for the last couple of days, like I feel like my central nervous system has been disrupted by all of the chaos. And if you are experiencing this, just know that you're not alone. We're dealing with all of these things that are happening at one time, with all these news items that are coming in. I think that it's meant to be a system overload in terms of what we're able to take in. And when they do that, they're trying to overload us so we can't pay attention to the next big thing. And so I think that something big is about to happen, and that we need to be all hands on deck in order to be able to navigate as a community through these things that are about to occur. I feel like every time my central nervous system goes awry, the Supreme Court comes down with some dumbass decision, or Trump says something that's crazy, and you're just like, damn, I didn't think that it would be able to get this much more crazy.
And it can, and it will every single time.
Yeah, unfortunately. All right, so folks, we'll see y'all next week. Oh, Dr. Ono, good seeing you, my guy.
All right. Talk soon.